Today on the John Byrne Show, I interview two dancers from the Paul Taylor Dance Company. The Paul Taylor Dance Company is one of the world's premier modern dance troupes. Choreographer Paul Taylor is regarded as the world's greatest living choreographer, and his repertoire of over 150 dance works has been seen by audiences all over the world. It is a pleasure to welcome Parisa Kobda and Francisco Graciano to the show and get an insight into the fascinating experience of working in Mr. Taylor's company. So I'm so excited. We're back, and I have two dancers here from the Paul Taylor Dance Company. I have Parisa Kobda and Francisco Graciano. Thank you guys so much for coming and spending a little bit of time with me. I'm totally dumbfounded by the Paul Taylor Dance Company. When I was a little younger, I got to experience a little bit of traveling to some fantastic places and doing what is it? Time Out calls it the world's greatest living choreographer. Newsweek, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so Newsweek calls Paul Taylor the greatest living choreographer.
And Vanity Fair.
And Vanity Fair. Hey, we love Vanity Fair. So, anyway, you guys actually work with him and work with the company every day. What process did you go through that led you up to becoming a Paul Taylor dancer? Starting with you, Parisa.
Well, I remember this so vividly. I was standing outside the studios in Soho looking up at an audition going on.
Really?
And a friend of mine that was with me said to me, "Oh, that's the Paul Taylor Dance Studios. They're auditioning for a male dancer. And someone has to die to get into that company."
Really? Okay.
And you got that job.
Oh, really?
I was in that audition.
You were.
Okay, cool.
That was what, 2000?
2001.
2001.
Wow.
I was so disappointed.
And then, I was still a student in school in 2002, and I went to the American Dance Festival that summer.
Right, okay.
And I was at the premiere of Promethean Fire, which completely changed.
I was on stage, I forgot.
You were in the premiere of
Yeah,
Promethean Fire,
cool.
And it completely changed. It was life-changing.
Really?
That's when I decided...
For me too. I almost died getting into the company. Yeah, that was scary. That's cool.
Yeah, so I believed in magic that night, and you have a lot to do with it.
Wow, thank you very much. That's very honorable. So, Francisco, tell me, how you went from a dancer to, or what was your path leading to this company?
Leading to Taylor, it's not as exciting as your story.
Okay.
But I danced with Hernando Cortez, who was a Paul Taylor dancer for 9 years, and was introduced to Paul's style and his movement through Hernando, and then I started taking class at the studio, and I started dancing with a company, another modern dance company, and Susan McGuire, who she was your director in Turntable too. She called me and said, there's a man leaving the company, and this was going to be Sean Mahoney was leaving Taylor too to go into the main company. Okay. And she called me and she said, "Come take class because Paul's looking for a guy." So I went and took class for the whole week. He never said anything to me, and I decided in my head, I'm happy where I am. I'm happy with this company that I'm with. I'm getting paid. It's getting good. I don't need to go back. So I didn't go back, and I got a call from Susan the next Tuesday, and she said, "Where were you? Paul was asking about you."
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's very exciting.
I know, and I was like,
to be requested.
Paul Taylor requested my presence, so I went to class on Wednesday, and and after class he asked me up, to his big green chair where he sits every day and dictates, and said, "I'd like you to be in the second company."
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
That was how it worked, and I started that January. It was August when he asked me, and I started the following January.
Wow.
So,
what is the importance of Mr. Taylor's work to you, and why is he considered the world's greatest living choreographer?
I think the answer is as complex as it is simple. It's fun to do his work. And I think he's the world's greatest living choreographer because his work speaks to everybody. You don't have to speak the same language to understand his work.
Francisco, what is your favorite dance from Mr. Taylor's to actually perform, and specifically which roles?
It's such a difficult question to answer because they all have different environments and different moods and atmospheres. But since we're sitting here and I'm with Parisa, one of my favorite dances, memorable dances, is doing Roses with Parisa. I know. We just have a very good chemistry on stage, and that was one of the first dances that I learned when I got into the main company. And she has such an excellent vulnerability of just, you know, and that's what it takes, you know, for this company. You really have to just be vulnerable, to just stand there. Paul sees, you know, humans on stage, you know.
Okay.
I think he sees the vulnerabilities in people, and, you know, I think he sort of encourages you to just let that happen and let that be. And I think, in addition to Parisa was saying, that's what makes Paul's work so connected to everybody, is that, you know, kind of holds up a mirror to all of us. And not every dance is going to resonate with you, you know.
Can you talk about the physicality? What are the physical demands? And then as far as the character work, what does it take as far as preparing for the roles in the character?
I think that's also one of the reasons why I love doing his work, because it can be so athletic that you really you see what you're capable of. Dances like Syzygy, dances like Esplanade allow you to just push the envelope, and they're just pure power, athleticism, and dancing.
Also, the dance Piazzolla Caldera.
Oh yeah.
Which is a big fan favorite for a lot of people. They just love that dance as a staple. Talk about some of the moments in there that's very, you know, almost frightening as far as the physicality and the partnering that's involved.
Well, I've just gotten to do the first duet that happens in Piazzolla, which there's some, if you see you see Patrick and Lisa making it with Paul, and it's incredible to see them making these lift and these things actually possible.
Right.
Things that you know, like maybe on paper or in Paul's brain it works, but then you try and you know you see them. That's what's fun about Dance Maker. You see the trial and error.
Right.
And
that process of making the dance.
Yeah, and the trust
possible.
between the two dancers also.
Exactly.
The trust.
So there's moments, I'm sure, where it's like make it or break, like sink or swim, that you have to really trust, almost with your life, the partner, because you're in these positions where you're swinging above their head or you're jumping, and if they don't catch you, you could really, you know, get hurt.
Yeah, and the truth is, I trust these men with my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because last week, well, 2 weeks ago, our show went to actually like a tango milonga, and we followed
nice.
like tango dancers, but it absolutely differed from this type of, you know, character work, because there's not really the same risk involved. I mean, this dance, Piazzolla Caldera, really brings that art form and like pushes it to the next level.
Yeah.
It's so theatrical that it's like, you know, it's like watching an extreme sport.
Yeah.
That's the way I can kind of describe it for just an everyday person.
Yeah.
Yeah.